I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for Tuesday, March 17th. We have a few changes to the agenda. If you would add to your consent agenda at 3D7, request approval of the resignation of one employee from the Oxford Animal Resource Center. On your regular agenda, if you would add at 4G to request approval to submit the state-local agreement to MEMA for Winter Storm Fern. If you would add at 8B to request permission to have the mayor execute a contract for the purchase of real estate on Howell Loop. And at 8C to request permission to close the South 11th Street alley between Van Buren and Jackson Avenue East while asphalt contractors work in that area between the hours of 6 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Monday, March 23rd. So those are all of the additions. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be added or subtracted. So with those changes, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Just two quick things to report on mayor's report wise. We had our hazardous waste day this past weekend, and Amberlin reports that it was very successful and that they had 702 cars go through. So that was great. And the Empty Bowls event was today at the Oxford Conference Center. I see Marley Carpenter out there, and she worked so hard on that event and so many others like it. But it is an event that provides money for our local food pantry and is an amazing event. I think they said they had 1,500 bowls today when they started. It looked like they might have had about 25 left at the end. So it was a great partnership between a lot of different organizations and volunteers. All right, with that, we will move to our regular agenda and request permission to approve the minutes of the regular Board of Aldermen meeting on March 3rd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request permission to approve the minutes of the special Board of Aldermen meeting on March 6th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request approval of the accounts for all city departments.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request approval of emergency purchases made as a result of Winter Storm Fern that occurred January 23rd through the 26th. And Rhonda is here to answer any questions if you have any.
Anyone have any questions? This is the debris tech and looks great invoices that have come in since our last meeting. You should have received a list.
My questions were answered. That's what I was doing. So I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request permission to approve emergency purchases related to the extensive flooding at the M-Trade Park Administrative Office and Shop buildings and additional shop and storage buildings on March 9th and 10th.
The thunderstorm that we had come through that had the massive downpours overnight. That night we had like a foot of water standing in the shop building in the office area, and so we had to go in and get Serpro in and get it cleaned out, and we're gonna have to cut the drywall and get everything dried out. And so this is a request to approve those expenses.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I'll ask the board to consider the consent agenda, and we had that one addition at 3D7.
Motion to consider the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will have an update from Alderman Preston Taylor on the Mayor's Commission on Disability Issues. It's their 2025 annual report. Mr. Taylor, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The Mayor's Commission on Disability Issues has scheduled meeting on January 23rd, March 6th, May 1st, July 10th, September 11th, and November 13th. The meeting held in January and July, like some different firms. So we just discussed some business on that meeting. We appreciate the Chamber of Commerce generous allowing the commission to meet in their facility, and they're very kind to do that. Right? They had there's a few issues that down there said parking amp stickers on parking meters, okay, and acceptability to part of Avon Park. That was the issue. More access parking spots in front of the market. And these are these issues, most of them have been already dissolved now. So Oxford has done good. We done much better than some of the communities. And there wasn't that many things that was done that need to be corrected. But it was blessed. It's nice to be on that committee and just to see how good we are done here in the city of Oxford. And so when you travel, you see what others done, and the commission is really wonderful to work with. And Dr. Bill Mayor is very good chairman of the committee. And so we are done good here in Oxford. So,
Thank you. And thank you to those who serve on that commission. All right, now we'll have a yearly report on the Oxford Park Commission by Seth Gaines.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Love to brag on our department a little bit, and I'm going to hit some highlights. I know y'all have the full packet, so if you have individual questions, I'll go to that. But just to give some highlights here, 92 different individual independent contractor programs we had this year. 16 team sports, so every team sport and stuff that we do, we offer at least twice. We're the only city in the state that's able to offer that kind of sport programming to their participants and to their community. Had 2,240 intern hours that we used to help assist programs for kids who were coming over from after school and doing some other stuff. Day camps. So if you take it all, we had 1,652 different weeks of registration for day camps just
Wow.
from the kids that was coming through in the around 15 weeks of day camp throughout the year that we do. 415 rentals. Now that goes everything from our pavilions to our Stone Center. We had that. A registered amount of 19,252 LLO participants that come through, signed in for classes throughout the year. And this number is going to be low because the first few weeks as we were training cashiers at the pool, they didn't always collect the right numbers, but 19,160 pool entries came into the pool last year. So definitely proud of all those types of numbers and stuff that comes through, and that really doesn't hit the numbers of kids who just come in every day, just regular free play and stuff, that there's really not a way at the time to track that. So what's coming up next for us? Yesterday, we added 3 programs to our registration software. Summer girls flag football. We've always had some girls that wanted to play and has come in and played in our boys flag football league, but we've opened it up, hoping that there would be more girls that would like to come in and play in their own league. On the boys' side, we're doing the same thing for our boys volleyball league. We've been kind of pushing that for a while with kids who are coming over, and then a summer co-ed kickball league. So we'll got those 3 things open registration for yesterday. Certainly proud of that. And League of Champions, that's our program we have for special needs individuals. One of the tasks that we have started this year is now at least once a month. We already have our sports programming for our League of Champions, but we're adding activity days because, just like us, the League of Champions participants, not all of them are ball lovers and love to play some types of ball. So we're going to do some other things with them, and that started last month. Also, I guess the biggest win for, not the biggest win, we appreciate all of them. But the chance that the MHSAA has given us to be able to host the Pickleball State Invitational this year, we'll be the first state in the nation to have a sanctioned pickleball event anywhere. And we get the opportunity to do it here in Oxford. So
That's awesome.
Certainly proud of that.
Well, and we appreciate the work that went into securing that, Seth. I know that was not an easy thing to secure, so thank you to you and your team for all the work that went into that.
Absolutely. And if I can, go ahead and brag a little bit too. 2 weeks ago, we were at the MRPA, our state conference for our professional network. We came away with 4 awards at that. The Arts and Humanities Programming Award of Merit for our Princess Camp, which is exactly what it is little girls get to sign up and come up and be treated like a princess for a day and get treated and all the things that comes with that. Recreation Program Award of Merit for a single program was Foundations of Dog Obedience. So open for dogs to help folks get a little dog obedience and bring them out for that. The special event for sports programming award of merit is we work close with MTA, and we actually had 20 collegiate club tennis teams in Oxford for a weekend last year. Just 20 colleges coming in and seeing the best college around to be able to do that. And therapeutic programming award of merit for seniors was cardio fit and strength training, which is one of our biggest classes. I think Dr. Antonelli's here. I think that's one of the classes that she participates in. Certainly proud to have her there. But all of those are great awards that our staff has doing. But the one I'm probably most proud of to come up here and tell you, for the second year in a row, the Oxford Park Commission has had the Recreation Professional of the Year. Last year, Felisa Bonner. Felisa McKnight won that award, and this year Nathan John was named the Professional of the Year for the state of Mississippi. So certainly proud to have Nathan and all of the crew that's able to put together these programs.
Great work. Thank you, and please thank your staff for us as well.
We'll do it. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, we'll ask Sue Fairbank to come up and consider bids for the City of Oxford emergency borrowing. As those of you who are at these meetings often know, we are expecting our storm recovery expenses to be over $20 million for debris pickup and debris monitoring and rebuilding of our electric grid. And so in preparation for that, we started this process that we have done RFPs that Sue's about to present to us to allow us to be able to borrow money to pay our vendors that we will then submit to FEMA and MEMA for reimbursement. And FEMA pays back at 75%, and then the MEMA at 12.5%, and then the community is responsible for an additional 12.5%. We have been working hard with our legislators, asking our state leaders to establish a zero interest loan for communities to use for storm recovery. That has been a long process, and although they have now passed the verbiage that establishes such a fund, they can't agree on how much money will be appropriated for the fund. So, a loan fund that has $0 attached is about as helpful as, a lot of things. But we are continuing to press forward on that. You'll be glad to know that my Girl Empowerment class of fifth graders will be traveling to the Capitol tomorrow, and when that happens, we often have legislators that stop by and say, yes, girls, do you have any questions? And if you think I'm not going to drill into their heads all the way there to say, yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, how much are you planning to allocate for that storm recovery loan fund? And yes, you got to work with what you got, right? I mean, who's going to tell a 10-year-old no? So anyway, we are continuing to work on that. We are still hopeful, honestly, that does pan out. But we have bills due in the process. And so we can't just simply wait and hope for the best. So we are continuing to move forward on that front and exploring some other funding options that don't involve paying interest, but we want to make sure that all of our options are available to us. And so Sue is here to guide us through what that emergency borrowing would look like.
Thank you, Mayor. As you said, we took bids today for the emergency note. And just by way of reminder, this is a drawdown note of up to $25 million. The city's not required to draw on the note. So, but if you do draw on the note, you only pay interest on the amount drawn. So it's just a vehicle that's there for you if you need it. The note can be repaid from any source. So if you have money from FEMA, MEMA, or from a zero interest loan from the state, you can use that to pay down this note, and then you'd not be paying any interest. So we received 5 bids today that were compliant. Trustmark Bank was the low bid at 4.51%, and I think you have a list of the other banks that bid.
We do.
The validation of this note is scheduled for March the 30th, so we can close any time after that. And then, as I said, you don't have to draw on it. You can just draw on it when you need it or if you need it. And so we're asking for approval of the award of this note to Trustmark Bank at 4.51%.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. And like Sue said, we will not draw down this money unless we need to, but we need to have that funding in place. We have bills that have been paid so far using reserve funds that we have set aside for rainy days like this. This is certainly a rainy day, a frozen rainy day. And we have used those funds so far and have not had to borrow. But we have about $7 million due the first week in April. And so if the state does not get our funding in place by that time, we're going to have to consider some other means of paying those bills. So that's why we have this. But just so that the taxpayers know, we are trying to find every option that does not require us to borrow and pay interest in the interim. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Steve, for being here. All right, I'll invite the chairman of our tree board, Cowan Hunter, to come up, and we're going to consider proposals for professional services to conduct a tree inventory post-winter storm Fern. Come on up, Cowan. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Thanks
I'm
for
sorry,
being
the
here.
only St. Patrick's Day stuff I have is work related. So,
We won't pinch you then. You've got your green
yeah.
on.
so yes, we were in this room yesterday at 1 o'clock, and we were there to talk about moving to the next thing that we need to start working on. And the special projects folks have done a good job of rounding up some proposals to look at. And we looked at those yesterday and talked about them. And basically, there were 3 companies that we were looking at. One of them is Davy. Davy is a tree service company out of Lexington, Kentucky. They've been in business for a long time. The city's original inventory of trees, and then also an update of that were done by Davy. They're very competent. But Davy has quit doing something that we think is very important, and that is they no longer do risk assessments of trees. And that's important, particularly after this winter storm and after all the damage that we've had. So in looking at the other 2 companies, one of which is Green Grove Arborist, which is Matt Nielsen, local arborist, runs that. He's very experienced, knows the area. He does a lot of the work on the city's trees already. Another company that we're interested in is called Eocene. They're out of Des Moines, Iowa. And they bring a lot of technology into bear. And Eocene also had a really good proposal, in terms of the timing of the things and how they would do it and stuff. So all that's important, we think. And but what we think is the first thing that needs to be done is to get a full inventory of the city's trees. And by the city's trees, I don't mean every neighborhood, every tree in town. I mean the trees that belong to the city, the parks, the right-of-ways, those places. And so where we still have trees, we need an inventory, and it needs to be an inventory that includes first level and second level risk assessments. At this point, we know we've removed a lot of trees already from places and parks and stuff, so some of that has been done, but if you're going to go in and do an inventory, after this storm, we need to go ahead and do an inventory that's full, that covers that. I said, and we discussed it, and everyone on the tree board agreed, we think that Green Groves are the people to do that, that Matt is the person to do that. And so in terms of doing those risk assessments, doing that, they already work with the city. Also, another important factor is they work with the state, particularly with the urban forestry people at the state. We're looking to them, talk to Alex there about tree planting. I know we can, there's been a good bit of discussion on that about applying for trees where the state pays 80%, we pay 20%. Also, we may even possibly have access to some free trees through FEMA, that sort of thing. So Matt is the person to kind of deal with that. The other reason we kind of wanted Matt for that part of this is that we feel like the way we do these inventories now, there was a time when you would do them and they would be in some proprietary kind of thing like well, they have different names, but the ones that we had used, they basically charge you for keeping that stuff in their proprietary systems. And so now we're kind of, the state did let us do that because they were funding that, the urban forestry, and they've gone from doing that to wanting everybody to do their stuff on the kind of systems where you can pull it up and use it and everybody can use it because it's a system that everybody uses and it's not about subscriptions and that sort of thing. So we think for all those reasons, what we kind of have basically decided is that we want to split the baby and we want Matt to do the actual inventory specifically for the assessments. And we also want Eocene out of the Iowa to do the other part, which is basically getting us ready to do a canopy study. Because the canopy study, and it can't really be done until on into the spring, or because you got to have trees actually leaf out and do all that. And we want them to do that because they have a lot of technology that we think will be helpful to do that. Canopy studies are a lot easier to do than they used to be, and but you do need a lot of points, so what we're looking is to find out, since the previous canopy study where Oxford, this included Oxford after annexation, we had about a 40% tree canopy, which is very healthy. We're wanting to see where we are now with all that. I think that's important because that's also going to, I think, and what might happen with Eocene, particularly in the short term, is we'll also find out where to plant new trees and what parts of town we're going to need to do that in. So right now, that's what we're looking at. And I just want to kind of say that y'all decide how to spend the money on this. And so the tree board has not had a lot of discussion about the specific money on this that they were talking about. But what we did decide, and what we do want to pass on to y'all, is that there's a lot of money sitting in the tree mitigation escrow fund. And we certainly don't want to be spending that money frivolously. But it is there for mitigation. It is there for the mitigation of trees that have been lost. And it's there to do the work that helps us plant new trees. And so we are very comfortable on this board with the idea of spending enough of that money to get these projects done. And we also think that some of that money might help us do some things with the planting. For instance, I've heard, and some of y'all may have heard, that some place around town said, it'd be nice if we get in some of these areas, might need to have bigger trees. Can we plant a bigger tree here? Maybe we can. Not everywhere, obviously, but in some places where we think we really need some bigger trees or something like that. So I'm just saying, we think the important parts of this are those things, and we were asked to give you our best advice. That's our best advice. Our best advice is also, we're comfortable all the way up to $100,000 or whatever it takes to get this done. So,
Well,
thank you.
and thank you for the time, Cowan, that you and the tree board spend having these discussions and thinking through these issues. Mark, is there anything that you want to add?
I've got a specific, so Cowan did a good job covering the background. The first proposal for Green Groves is to complete a tree inventory not to exceed 9,000 trees, city right-of-way, park, cemetery. That number is $67,950. So that would be a not to exceed amount for that to get
60s.
67,950.
950. So if we're good with that, we can go ahead and start that process.
Yep, okay.
So
So we have a motion to move forward with that. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Great, thank you.
the second part of that is to hire EcoScene for task 2, 3, and 4, and that's in your packet that you got, and that's all the data analysis. That's actually a smaller amount. It's a not to exceed of $35,000. And again, they're going to bring all the data, do the analysis.
Well, and like
statisticians.
Cowan said, this is going to educate and inform our plan of replanting as we move forward. So I think they're both very important.
We're really interested to see what varieties did well and what varieties didn't do well. And we want to look at that across the entire city instead of specific areas to inform our future plan. The goal is to get more trees planting and to recover the canopy that we lost. And also make sure the canopy is safe. Those are the two goals. So that we think that'll do
There's
that.
certain kind of trees that fared much better than others in the winter
So we're
storm.
looking at near 102,000.
Yeah, the total is $102,950. That's for both phase 1 and phase 2. We will be finished with in July, and then we will come with a plan to actually plant the trees in the fall
In the fall.
and have a 5-year plan because it's going to take more than a year.
Yeah.
But the funds are there, and
And so the motion should include that you would like to do this from the tree fund,
yes, tree escrow.
tree escrow.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
Thank
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Cowan. All right, Rob Neely, second reading and public hearing of proposed changes to Chapter 114, Article 2, Section 114-41, water rates, and Section 114-44, sewer rates, codes of ordinances.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. This is the item we reviewed 2 weeks ago with regard to the water and sewer rate ordinance. We're asking for an increase to the water and sewer rates. I read through the full ordinance at the last meeting. Nothing has changed with regard to our request since that time. I'm happy to reread the entire ordinance with the changes if you would like, or we can discuss any questions that may have come up from the board since the reading, and then entertain a public hearing after that. Whatever you want the procedure to be with regard to reading the ordinance or just discussing.
You went through it, the
Okay.
last one, unless anybody,
Yeah, there's only, the
Once-
changes are in
once it be
red, it's a
read
handful
again,
of
yeah.
changes in each
the
section.
same that was presented at the last board meeting.
That's
Does
right.
anybody have any questions for Rob before we call for public comment?
And Mark, we checked, there's no customers that are currently on a flat rate water rate.
Okay.
So just to answer that question that came
Thank
up
you.
last time. Yep.
All right, no questions from the board. This is a second reading and public hearing for this ordinance change. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to that? All right. Seeing none, would the board like to have a third reading at our next meeting, or would anyone like to proceed with voting tonight?
Make a motion that we approve the change in the ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you all. And the next step will be to take it to the PSC. And
Yep.
so no rate will be changed until all the rates can be changed, which is after their approval of the customers that are outside of a mile. So that's the next step. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Rob. All right, Braxton, request approval to convert paper personnel records from the Human Resources Department to an electronic format in accordance with Mississippi Code Sections 21-15-37.
Okay, earlier this budget year, you approved R.J. Young to digitize our files. Beginning March the 27th, we're going to go to this being our official file, and we need a board approval to utilize that. in our
We
file.
approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? We added at 4G to request approval to submit the state-local agreement to MEMA for Winter Storm Fern. Shane?
Yes, ma'am. This is just the paperwork we need to fill out and have the mayor sign so we can get our first reimbursement back from MEMA from the winter storm and subsequent reimbursements as well.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and now we will ask the board to adopt a resolution of service for Captain Donovan Lyons.
Thank you, Mayor. So kind of a bittersweet day. Happy for
Right.
Donovan's opportunity, but definitely going to miss him and some of the special details and things that we've dealt with over my tenure. So But a really cool resolution when we got to sit down and put it on paper. So it says, whereas Donovan Lyons has faithfully and honorably served the citizens of Los Angeles, California, and Oxford, Mississippi for over 34 years with passion, commitment, valor, and dedication. And whereas his law enforcement career began in 1992 with the Los Angeles Police Department, where he rose to the rank of sergeant and served in leadership roles within the crash gang unit, narcotics, patrol, and eventually as the officer in charge of the parole intervention team. And whereas after relocating to Oxford in 2012, he continued his commitment to public service as an officer with the Oxford Police Department, rising through the ranks from patrol officer to captain. And whereas Captain Donovan Lyons has been a trusted and valued member of the department, utilizing his extensive knowledge and experience to train, mentor, and guide a new generation of officers beginning their journey in law enforcement. And whereas Captain Lyons' experience helped shape the operational model now utilized for the downtown district, implementing effective crowd control management strategies informed by techniques refined during his years with the Los Angeles Police Department. And whereas Captain Lyons built strong partnerships and lasting relationships with the Oxford School District while serving as the sergeant in charge of the School Resource Officer Program, fostering a safe and supportive environment for students and staff. And whereas Captain Lyons leaves a lasting legacy within the Oxford Police Department through the officers he mentored, the operational standards he helped establish, and the commitment of excellence and public trust that will continue to guide the department for years to come. Therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Oxford express their sincere appreciation and gratitude to Donovan Lyons for his work on behalf of the Oxford Police Department and the City of Oxford. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the City of Oxford, and that a copy of the same be presented to Donovan on this, the 17th day of March 2026.
Thank you. I don't want to make this anything, this is not about me. This is about everyone that's sitting in that back row. It's about Chief McCutcheon. This is about the men and women I've worked with over 34 years, but particularly the last 14 years. Everybody sitting on that back row, like brothers and sisters to me, and mean more to me than anything. When I moved here 14 years ago, I came here with optimism, a little bit of skepticism coming to a small town. Those men and women in the back, and all of you in the city made that so much easier. We truly are a family here. Thank you to Chief McCutcheon for giving me the opportunity, being a mentor, and most importantly, a friend, over the last 6 years in the command staff role. But it's about these folks back here. It's about everyone that works in this city. I worked in a big city for 20 years. I got to see the disconnect between big city living and the employee. Board, mayor, past and present, thank you for your support to law enforcement and to us in this room, all our city employees, but to law enforcement in particular, because I came from a place where that support was not there. You don't know how much it means to us and to me, coming from a place where I saw the exact opposite, the antithesis of what you guys do up here. And so, again, this is about everyone in this room. I appreciate you guys. It's not my forte to be standing up here talking like this. This is, I want you guys just to know that I couldn't do what I do without the folks that are all around me and you guys. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Donovan.
Thank you.
All right, could I have a motion to adopt that resolution of service?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request permission to approve a parade assembly for Stefano Capomazza to host a fireworks show on June 27th.
Yes, ma'am. So it's our annual event that they request a permit for. No issues on our end.
Motion to approve.
A second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Second reading and public hearing of an ordinance amending Chapter 22 Buildings, Article 4 Housing, Division 3 Affordable Housing. Ben?
Yes, ma'am. We've made no changes to the ordinance that we're proposing, and we have not received any public comment at this time.
All right, does anybody have any questions regarding this ordinance change? Ben went through it at the last meeting, and I know Dr. Antonow is here as well, representing the Affordable Housing Commission, and they would both be willing to answer any questions, I know. It's great work. Great work. All right, is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak regarding this ordinance change? Okay, hearing none.
I make a motion that we approve the changes to the ordinance.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Great, and thank you to the Housing Commission for all of your hard work. All right, request permission to authorize a contract for the Oxford Conference Center lighting upgrade.
At the last meeting, you approved the base bid for the Whitfield, Whitfield Electric for $446,270 to upgrade all the lights in the conference center, which the project was under budget. Since that time, Whitfield has submitted the required bonds and they've signed the contract, and all we're asking for tonight is for authorization for the mayor to sign the contract so we can move the project forward.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission to solicit requests for proposals for the Walk of Lights Expansion 2.
So this is the third year we've requested this item. This project is funded through 2% Tourism Fund, and as part of the strategy, continue to build winter activities at M-Trade Park. Approval tonight will allow us to solicit for proposals, and we can bring those recommendations back in April. It doesn't obligate the board or the city to do anything, and at that point, you can decide how you want to proceed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request permission to advertise for bids on the roundabout signage.
So this is for the new west roundabout at University and 7, across from Big Star, or Cash Saver, excuse me. And we are hopeful this project will come in below the bid amount, but we do plan on bidding it anyway in case. So we're just asking for permission to do that.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, John, discuss night paving on the University Avenue Highway 7 roundabout project by MDOT beginning tentatively March 30th. They don't really need our permission to move forward. It's an MDOT project. They're not asking for our permission, but we wanted to at least state publicly what was going to happen so the public would know that the roadways will be closed for paving, and I'll let John give us the details.
Yeah, so as of right now, beginning March 30th, which is about 2 weeks, weather permitting, they will move in to put the final lift of asphalt on the roundabout project, and they will work during overnight hours, which means they will close portions of that intersection during periods of overnight. They'll have to close ramps onto and off of Highway 7 as they progress, but they are going to do that work overnight. They anticipate that to take them about a week to a week and a half to do everything. And then they'll be done.
So we don't really, there's no motion to make or what have you, but I did want us to have at least stated publicly, and they're going to put up signage that states that to expect the road closures there at night.
And they'll give us a more concrete schedule as that date approaches, and we'll be able to put out some notices on social media and message boards to let everybody know what's going to be closed when and all that. So.
Yeah, and it'll depend on weather, of course, temperatures, that kind of thing, especially when they're doing it at night. So, all right, thank you, John. 2 additions to the agenda. Request permission to have the mayor execute a contract for the purchase of real estate on Howell Loop.
Yeah, so this is a lift station that we're having to upgrade. And if you recall, we're having to purchase a little 0.07 acre piece of property from Evergreens, and $50,000 is the negotiated price. We're asking permission for the mayor to sign that purchase of contract so we can close on that.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission to close South 11th Street Alley between Van Buren Avenue and East Jackson Avenue while asphalt contractors work in the area between the hours of 6 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Monday, March 23rd.
So this is the alley where the library is. If you recall, last year we did a bunch of paving in downtown. This was one of the areas. Didn't really do a good job in that alley, and so we're going to go back and fix it. And the plan time is to do that next Monday. We'd like to close that alley during the day so they can get in and get it done and be over with.
We approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, I'll ask the board to consider an executive session.
So
Motion to consider.
All in favor? Any opposed? The board will now consider an executive session.
We're all waiting on Jason.
Well, yeah, just waiting on
Jason?